Hello, Myo family. Today I'm here to talk about mouth breathing. I get lots of questions. Of course, I talk ad nauseum about the need to nasal breathe. So I thought I would talk about my journey from the world's biggest mouth breather to a nasal breather. So, and I've shared this a lot before on social media, and I've talked about this a lot. I used to be the world's biggest mouth breather. I used to take 4 allergy pills every day just to get through. I was one of those people who you could see breathing and hear breathing. Now it drives me absolutely crazy because I know how bad it is for me. And it's one of the biggest things, that I educate on. So we're going to talk about that journey. So first, if this is you, if you're a mouth breather, I think one of the biggest preliminary steps that I can encourage you to take is figure out why. I'm going to talk about a couple things that really made a difference for me. But why are you mouth breathing? Is this a behavior or is this a plumbing issue? So do you have problems in the nose, deviated septum, swollen turbinates, that kind of stuff? So many people come to me, they're gung-ho, they're ready to start therapy, and they're really disheartened when I say, hey, we got to take care of that. So we got to deal with the plumbing issue. So that's one thing to see if you can nasal breathe, okay? I do a nasal breathing demonstration when I do a comprehensive exam, so you can always start there. But sometimes I wholeheartedly think that people know whether they can or can't successfully nasal breathe, okay? So that's the most important thing. So the first thing on my journey from a mouth breather to a nasal breather is I stayed on the medication. Now these were, some were prescribed at the time. I think mostly everything is now over the counter. But I stayed on it. And I know a lot of people who are on their holistic wellness journey, just really like I was, they just really want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They just want to get rid of everything. Okay. I don't encourage you to do that because sometimes we need that support of helping with the congestion before we can start being able to actually breathe through the nose. So I encourage you to stay on the meds. I even, believe it or not, have clients sometimes in therapy that have to get some support, whether that's through a medication or some adjunctive therapy, their neti pot, nasal rinses, that kind of stuff, to help them just be able to break that congestion and that vicious cycle of mouth breathing. So again, I have talked about that before. I'm going to just give you a rundown on it really quick. Basically, your brain thinks that you only breathe through your mouth. So when you're, or breathe through your nose, sorry. So when you're breathing through your mouth, you're disrupting your carbon dioxide and oxygen balance. So your brain goes, oh my gosh, something's going on. We need to slow down the CO2 that's coming out, but it's actually coming out through the mouth. Brain doesn't realize that because the brain thinks that you're breathing through your nose like you're designed to do. So the brain tells the goblet cells in the nose to secrete more mucus to slow down the carbon dioxide that's going out, but it's not coming out through your nose, it's coming out through your mouth. So that equals that chronic cycle of congestion. Many of you guys will say, I'm not congested at all. And the more we dig a little bit deeper, you might have just an incessantly runny nose a little bit. You might notice that you're more congested in the morning. That's because you're very likely to have your mouth open at night, snoring, open mouth breathing, that kind of stuff. So that's really common. And that's really when the light bulb comes on for my clients, like, oh, okay. So if you stay on the meds, that's going to help you just kind of start having something to help you as you start to break that congestion cycle, okay? And so that's what happened for me is I started working on the breathing part before I started to adjust the meds, okay? And so that's mindful breathing, practicing that. There were times where I would just sit and practice breathing. When you're going to do that, I encourage you to practice good nasal hygiene. Some people, believe it or not, don't know how to blow their nose correctly, or they just don't do it enough. And that's one thing. I work with so many clients There's times where I just have to say, hey, friend, please go blow your nose because I can hear that you're struggling. So sometimes it's just their norm and they don't even realize it. So doing anything that's going to help. I'm crunchy, so I love my essential oils. Of course, I do practice good nasal hygiene. Some people do their their rinses, their neti pot, that kind of stuff. I will tell you this, guys, if you know that there's something that helps you, then do it. I'm always floored when I have people, who pay me for an exam, that kind of stuff, and they know the answer. They know something that helps. They're just not doing it. And it seems like they just need that person like me to be like, come on. And then the other thing that really helped me in my journey was I, at the time, was working with a nutritionist. I was also working with an acupuncturist. And that also really helped me in that process. But it was both of them who taught me initially that the biggest inflammatory agents were, the four biggest ones were alcohol, dairy, gluten, and sugar. And so when I was on that journey from mouth breathing to nasal breathing, for over a year was gluten-free, dairy-free. I ate very, very, very clean. So I just did not have any of those issues. And then when I did start to add those things back, I did notice that I got a little bit of that runny nose. So that just kind of told me, okay, Carmen, here's how your body reacts. So that's really important for you. A couple other things that I have found with clients is pets. Many of you guys, we all love our pets. I'm with you. I'm not saying get rid of your pets, but consider how are you letting Fluffy sleep on your kiddo's pillow, that kind of stuff. The wheels come off the bus for a lot of parents when I say, hey, you can't help your kid learn to nasal breathe if you're contributing to the congestion problem, and that's the pet, okay? So there's a lot of things to be considered with that. Another thing for me in this, I was a little late to the game with discovering this, and I think it was just because I was digging my heels in, and I just honestly didn't want to make the change. But artificial scents. So the wax melts, air sprays, fabric softener, laundry detergent, those kind of things. Once I went scent-free in my house, I noticed the huge difference right away. And it was funny, I got a little bit of pushback from my sweetie pie because he was in love with his bounce dryer sheets. And once he had a chance to really notice that there was no scents in the house, he noticed that his congestion was decreased also. So now I've pretty much won him over, but that was a big thing for me. So if this is you, clearly if you're mouth breathing, definitely you are somebody who could benefit from myofunctional therapy. But I think sometimes people like to just start making some baby steps, and this is a great way to do it. So explore what's causing your congestion, which if you're mouth breathing, that's obvious, but what else are you contributing? What else are you willing to cut out? I have lots of people say, yeah, dairy makes me really gunky, but they don't cut it out. It's like, ding dong, we have to do that, okay? So I think that that's going to help some of you guys. And then really being mindful. I just did really spend a lot of time working on it, practicing my breathing. It doesn't just come overnight. So in the end, the long journey that it takes you to stop mouth breathing is definitely super helpful for you. The other thing is when you're nasal breathing, you're getting nitric oxide, which is in your sinuses. That helps the uptake of oxygen into the lungs. So on a cellular level, you're going to be more oxygenated. A lot of people feel like they mouth breathe because they can get more air, and so it is really that vicious cycle. So there's lots of information on my social media. You can find lots of information on my website. So that's it for today, and I'll be back next time with another hot topic. Bye for now.